When a customer is injured in a business, both he or she and the business owner have responsibilities. Here to explain is Mark Parrish from Catania in Catania. Good to see you again.
Hey, good morning.
We're talking this morning, I think kind of what we hear maybe the most is slip and fall accidents, which I understand from you are quite kind of common here in the Bay Area. You get quite a few phone calls a week.
I do. It's surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't think so. But slip and fall, kind of explain why this is important to know the responsibilities from both parties and why it's important to know the difference.
Absolutely. Business owners have a responsibility to keep their stores clear of dangerous conditions or hazards. And sort of on the flip side, as customers, we would expect that from them, and we expect to be able to go into a store and not encounter any sort of known dangerous conditions or hazards that could cause us injury.
And that covers everything from what I understand, flooring from where people are walking, railings on stairs. You were telling me even lights above. I mean, there's some things you may not even think of.
And I hear something different every day.
Yeah,
and once I think I've heard it all,
Yeah.
I hear something new. And so it's always interesting.
Especially if the business owner, I'd imagine, knew of it previously, which is, I'd imagine, the big no-no there.
And that's a huge component when looking forward towards bringing a lawsuit for this, because the business owner has to have knowledge and notice of that condition. Otherwise, they don't have an opportunity to fix it or repair it, or at least make it known to a customer that it exists.
Okay.
And so that's why it's such a huge thing.
You have a great example with blueberries. Let's talk about that in a grocery store, because it kind of, you can differentiates the two.
Absolutely. Because oftentimes if I was walking behind you in a grocery store and you knocked some blueberries over and they fall to the floor, if I come up 10 seconds later and I fall, the store has no knowledge of it. They have no notice. There's nothing they could have done. But had those blueberries been just smashed and mangled and dragged across the floor, at that point it's been pretty obvious they've been there for a while and that the owner should have been on notice and they should have done something about it.
Okay. So when kind of looking at these slip and fall accidents, what is it that the person who's injured, let's say the person who slips on that, what do they need to know or to do?
Well, oftentimes it's not as clear as blueberries on the floor. And the biggest problem I have when clients call is I ask them, well, what did you fall on? What caused you to get injured? And oftentimes they say, I don't know. And I say, well, if that's the case, there's not much I can do, but what can you tell me? They say, well, there was liquid on the floor. Well, was it clear? Was it blue? Do you know how long it had been there? Do you know where it came from? Things like that are really important for people to know because it helps us decide if it's something we can help you with.
So my next question then, do you encourage people to document as best they can as soon as something like this happens? I mean, that would be best case scenario, I'd imagine.
It is best case scenario, and oftentimes it's not feasible for people to just whip out their phone and take photos if you're laying there injured on the floor. But I always recommend go to the store manager or go to an employee.
Legally, you have to do that by a certain amount of time?
No, but it's important for you to try and get an incident report, and that way you can have some sort of documented paperwork showing I was in this store, this is what happened, and you have it for your own records to keep if that way you don't have an opportunity to take photos.
I know we've talked about auto accidents and making sure you go to healthcare professionals right away. Is there any kind of deadlines we need to follow there as far as injuries and seeking medical treatment afterwards?
I always recommend that people go as soon as possible because it becomes sort of an advantage to the insurance companies down the road, because they'll say, well, if you were truly injured, you would have gone and seen a doctor right away. So if you waited 2 or 3 months before you saw a doctor, then you must be okay. And so I always advise people, if you've been injured, absolutely go see a doctor.
A little less than a minute left. What is your biggest take home when it comes to slip and fall cases that people should know? Know
what you fell in.
Okay.
It sounds like such a simple and common thing, but I can't tell you the number of times that I have to unfortunately hang up and just say, if only I knew what they fell in. If only they knew what they fell in. And it becomes
really. Are they just calling too late? I mean, I guess I don't understand why people would know.
And oftentimes it's a matter of just looking around. I mean, did you fall on water on the floor? Or was it clear laundry detergent that had spilled out from the shelf? Was there a laundry detergent bottle down there? And sort of look around and see. And that's why it's also important that if you can, take those photos so you know.
Okay. Well, if you have any questions, I'm sure you probably do. Again, that's why we love having them on our show so much, because there are several different topics, lots of questions to be asked. I love that you guys do this. You do the free legal consultation. There's the number to call, the website at Find Out More. And we appreciate all your time, Mark. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks for having me.